right, everybody. We are back with day 4 at the 2024 World Cup from Albuquerque, New Mexico, kicking things off as usual back in the CSW division. And as I was yesterday, I am joined on the call. I can't believe it's taken me this long based on the caliber of games that we immediately experienced once we got Matt Canik into the booth alongside me. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Will. Good morning to all of our viewers. Thanks for having me back on. It's always such a pleasure to call Scrabble games, especially with the great Will Anderson. Thrilled to be here. Thrilled to watch Eta and Joel play in a really tight matchup here. Number 1 versus number 3 right now.
Yeah, amazing performance, not only by Eta Karo, 15-6, pacing the field, a win and spread points ahead of this incredibly difficult field. But I gotta shout out the entire Nigerian contingent of 3 really elite grandmaster level players. Eta Karo, number 1 in the standings. Wellington Jigare, who needs little introduction, right behind him at number 2. And Nisikak et team, a short distance behind at number 7. The 3 Nigerians all hanging around there in the top 7. Amazing performance, especially traveling so far, Matt, as they have to compete in this event.
Yeah, that's impressive stuff. But, this is something we all could have predicted as well. The Nigerian contingent just grows stronger and stronger. Scrabble is so huge over there. And now we're seeing them come over here and dominate our North American tournaments. It's exciting to see. The future of Scrabble is bright.
Yeah, it really is. So Eta going first in this game, and he is up against it and a tough opponent, Joel Wapnick, in his late 70s, I believe, and still turning in extremely high quality performances at the toughest events the world has to offer. He is a former world champion in his own right, so he is not going to make it easy for Eta in this game, nor is Eta's first draw going to make it easy for him, Matt.
Yeah, yikes. These opening draws are tough. You've got all 1-pointers. You can't score well. The 5-letter Urari, Urari, is the bailout of this rack. You see he's also identified Turr as a 4-tile play. I think you play Urari and put some points on the board here, but I could see a case to be made for exchanging or for Turr. None of these plays make you happy, but you've got to pick one of them. Will, do you have a preference between those?
I think I do prefer Urari here ever so slightly. It's as you suggest, doesn't make you too happy to score only 12 points on your opening move. But if you think about it, what would you keep if you exchanged? Probably something like AIRT. That's a good leave, but it's not so fantastic of a leave that you would want to turn down 12 points here, especially when you can keep RT, which is a nice core of the tiles that you would keep if you exchange. So Tur looks like Eta is considering this instead. I think there's some merit to this. It keeps AIR, so you leave yourself a little bit vulnerable. So, okay, we are going to see an exchange instead. I do feel like all those options were pretty defensible, Matt.
Yeah, that's a tricky turn, and all the plays are within just a few points of each other on a simulation. That was an interesting decision, though. I don't think many players opt to exchange there. I get it. It makes sense to me. Just a stylistic decision there from Eta, setting the tone early. But because he does not take away the star, that's going to allow a big play for Joel to open this game. He's got the X, and relax for 40 is his highest scoring option.
Yeah, relax. That type of rack for Joel really does better as the first play of the game. So he was probably thrilled to see Eta exchange. That gave him a chance to pop that X down on the double letter square. So yeah, but Matt, I see you drawing the very cheesy, beautiful next play that Eta has, and I fully expect him to spot this here.
Wow, that's fantastic. You see him set up initially Tovarich on his rack, wishing for an S or a C. I think both spellings of that are acceptable. No bingos here for Eta, but the double-double is 52 points in Havarti. He's very close to setting it up now. Yeah. That's a killer play for a team here.
Yeah, it's very, very nicely spotted. Oh, wait a second. He saw Havarti, but he's going back to Varix. That's surprising. Maybe he hasn't, maybe in his mind, he's only seen that it plays here and he hasn't connected the dots. There we go. Now the space between the letters is in the right spot. He realizes with the two A's in the word, I've done this before, Matt. I'm not proud to admit it, but sometimes you don't realize, oh boy, I could play Havarti here. It only scores whatever, 20 odd points, 26 points. Maybe I'll play Varix instead for a better score. But you could just push that same word up. Now he realizes it. 52 points on offer for him here. So good patience. Ironically, though, the one thing that I thought might prevent him from seeing this was the fact that he also has Aviator through that same spot as a double-double, leaving the H. This is better, but if I saw Aviator, I might have been inclined to throw that down fast.
Yeah, that's a trap. I think if I see Aviator, I might rush that play too. So well done by Eta, taking the time, looking for bingos, identifying there's nothing there, and finding this killer option. You got to find the best play every turn, not just a good play every turn. Eta's maximized that one, and Joel now looking to maximize a great draw. After Relax holding DR, he's found AEMST. He threatens bingos all over this board. I think the highest scoring is probably the one we'll see him pick. That's the 7 letters Smarted, either on top of or beneath the RE in Relax. There are also 8s available through the E if he's looking to kind of shape the board in a different direction here, but will probably take the points, right?
Yeah, I think the key with the plays of Smarted, either on top or below Relax, the nice thing about them is that either one of them place SM out in space. That's not very easy to overlap to the triple. If it was a different word, for example, that placed a vowel either on top of or below this square, that could allow Eta to really hammer the spot. In response, it might make those 71 point positionings of Smarted a little bit riskier, but I think Joel's going to realize there actually isn't a ton of risk to grab the extra points here. You don't really get hit all that hard as a result, especially if you play Smarted below. The extra thing to worry about if you play Smarted on top, that actually is close to mattering here. By placing the M in that spot, you could get hit with a Y to the triple. We see Eta has the Y, but Matt, I'm not sure, tantalizingly, if that's what Joel picks, I don't think Eta could really hit that Y very hard.
No, Eta's got a terrible pull and won't be able to threaten anything back to any of Joel's bingos here. He does have the word streamed for 67 right here as well, and the STR in this section means he's also not going to be giving back substantial counterplays. What's interesting, though, is after a play of streamed, Eta scores 6 fewer points on average than after this play. But Joel also scores substantially fewer points. So it's just a decision of, do I want points to be scored or do I want to start building a wall right now? Joel opting for the offensive play. I think I would here too. I might have put this up top, even though the MY hook is in play, just because I don't like allowing bingos down to the S. But a small nuanced decision there for Joel, and he won't be punished on the triple word.
That's a great point, Matt. That positioning of that S is not as ideal as if you were to slot it up. That's because, as you're suggesting, 8-letter words ending in S would go off the board. So that's something I didn't think about as Eta plays UE, this very helpful U-turn spelling that lets you get rid of 2 vowels and a Y, which some might argue are actually 3 vowels for 32 points. That seems like a pretty unequivocal, solid play.
He did have one other intriguing option there in Moon Eye down from the M, holding just a U, blowing this board open, but that doesn't seem to be consistent with his strategy or his style. We've seen him play some defense. We've seen him avoid putting tiles in space whenever possible. And UE is the play I expect from Eta, though, just the way he's played all tournament.
Yeah, it does have that benefit of getting a lot more of the clunky vowels off the rack at once. It does, of course. Moon Eye, we're referencing here, opening a triple with an E, a very easy letter to use for a variety of purposes. And it leaves you with just a U. I feel like if maybe that leftover letter was a better one, maybe that play starts to look even better. It is still a defensible option that some players might pick, but I actually think I would pick Yui here as well. And maybe we're going to see Eta bingo next turn with something like Wanderoo, which is very close to my online handle.
Wanderoo 15 will be here all day. Oh man, this is a really interesting turn for Joel. I love these racks. I love getting to teach people through these racks on stream. Joel has the nice synergistic AEIRS combination. So many players here immediately look to play AE, and there's a great spot to do that. VAE on this board scores 16, holds a great bingo prone leave, but Areae, Areae, on top of Smarted, knocks out that triple word score and scores 27. He's got one more sneaky option too. Relax extends to Relaxers for 45, though that holds the abysmal AAEI combination. Very curious to see what Joel opts to do here. But again, I think a lot of players insta-fish here, and we see consistently these top experts opt to score more points. Joel's done that again here. What do you think about this decision, Will? Would you have fished the AE, or would you score 27?
Oh man, incredibly different stylistic options. You can see one of the benefits of Joel's playing out right here. We were talking about Eta being able to play Wanderoo through this R. Not only does Areae score 11 more points than this fish of they right here, it blocks off all of these nice letters that Joel put into space, giving back just an A that was already available here. So with Areae, you're blocking the S, M, and R. The A is still there, so that's a lot of lanes that you're shutting down, and you're getting 11 extra points. That being said, it is hard to turn down VAE, and we're going to see a play in that spot come down for Eta. The reason I like VAE as well is that if you miss your draw, you actually still have relaxers as a possibility to play next turn too for a guaranteed 45 points. So there were some benefits for that, but we're seeing Areae really pay dividends for Joel here, blocking a bingo from Eta and forcing him to dump off 2 tiles for not that many points.
A fascinating sequence there. Again, so many players play VAE and then they get bingoed on, but then they bingo back. It's a stylistic decision for sure. I love the play of Areae there from Joel. It is actually winning a sim as well, despite Joel only bingoing 31% after Areae compared to 68% after VAE.
Wow.
I like the decision from him, and his complication there is exactly why. He took away Eta's bingos.
We are seeing one of the possible downsides of the Areae play, which left him IS. Anytime you take a good bingo leave and you draw more tiles, you use up more tiles as opposed to fewer tiles, keeping that nucleus of a bingo together, you do expose yourself to some dangerous possibilities. You can draw way worse on a 5-tile draw than you can on a 2-tile draw. And we're seeing that, yes, Joel did make a beautiful play with Areae. I really do approve of it. He blocked Eta's bingo, but he is paying the price a little bit with that replenishment draw, putting himself in a very difficult situation here where he's either looking at exchanging or playing for a really low score, Matt. Not sure if you see anything that stands out.
He's got the 5-letter Lewis, Louis. He can cash in the S and play Lewis and Havartis for 20. But that's a rather underwhelming play, and the S is so important on this board with the Havartis hooks and the Vows hook in play. I'd be looking to keep the S no matter what here, not cash it for 20. I'm going to get more points out of that tile if I hold on to it. But the decision versus to exchange versus fighting through is one that's tough. AULOI playing down from the A makes some sense, but this I think makes more. Just eject it all. I'm not going to work out of this stuff in a turn. Loy still holds IOS. It's only 6 points. Just get rid of it. I like that from Joel.
Yeah. Very interesting choice by him. I'm really still thinking about Alloy, the potential benefits of that. It feels like holding an S after Alloy, you've created a board that is so bad for bingoing on unless you have an S. I kind of like it thematically for that purpose. But now look at this very nicely spotted bingo by Eta of Bonsella right here, his highest scoring play, but it does leave him vulnerable to an S hook, which we know that Joel has. So we could see some fireworks from here on out. Nicely played so far, frankly, by both players.
So Eta has to score a lot of points, but open a big part of the board to do that with Bonsella. I think it's correct for him to take those points. And now Joel's going to have exactly the same decision. He threatens massive scores through the A in Bonsella. ZOAEA is 68 points. But Will, for those a little less familiar with Scrabble and CSW, tell us why this play is terrifying for Joel to make.
This is a terrifying play just because if you're familiar with the North American dictionary, have played a lot of Scrabble, you may recognize the word ZOEA and know that that word takes a bunch of hooks. It takes an E hook, an S hook, an L hook. This word actually doesn't take an L hook, but it still does take an E and S, the E being the salient tile. There's just so many E's in the Scrabble set. So to make this huge of an E hook is definitely quite terrifying. Add the S to the mix, and you've got a play that, even though it scores 68 points, Matt, it does give me a little bit of a shudder to think about putting on the board. I think you might have muted there. At least I don't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I muted myself for some reason. There's a terrifying play to make, but it's a play you've got to make. It just scores so well. And a little peace of mind knowing that, hey, if he does take that E hook behind it, I'm okay because with ZAZOZE, I'm just going to take the other triple. We'll do a little trade, even though you'll probably hit me a little bit harder. Got to take the points there if you're Joel. And I think some people might think about putting the S on the end to quote unquote block. That's a terrible decision. You don't do that. That gives up way more than it's worth. The S is still super valuable. Eta is now going to have a fun decision as Zoea gives him a second spot to play bingos out of this rack. He's got a nice post bingo draw of mailing. And while mailing does not fit on the board, bingos are available with an A. He can bingo through the A in Arie or the A in Zoea now, making the 8-letter Imaginal.
Yeah, Imaginal, not the easiest find, I have to say. He has an ING combination on his rack. So for me, I'm definitely thinking, what 7 and 8-letter words do I have with that combination? If you're going to bingo here, Eta has to consider that maybe I actually have a longer word that doesn't contain those letters in that order. I also want to point out, Matt, that it would be very tempting to put an L hook onto this because ZOEA takes an L hook. ZOOEA is also a valid word in Collins, and that takes an L hook. This one does not for some reason. So if either player isn't keeping track of these weird nuances of the dictionary, we could see an L hook. And I just wonder if Eta misses Imaginal here. Could he consider trying the L hook right now?
That's so interesting to think about. Yeah, if he doesn't see Imaginal, this turn is a lot harder for him. The bait is there, but I feel like this word and these words come up enough. A player of Eta and Joel's caliber definitely knows this set. Though keeping the nuance straight every day at every tournament is always tough to do. He does have a really high-scoring play on the right side if he's not going to play the bingo, the 6-tile Lingam, Lingam, making ZA and OM. But I'm hyper-fixated on the bottom of this board. That E hook at the end of Zoea is so scary. And if I'm Eta and I can't play there, I don't have an E, I want to make sure Joel doesn't play there either. That's just such a mammoth spot. I don't know how he's going to approach this turn if he misses the bingo here.
Yeah, it looks like he spotted Lingam, which is certainly a nice idea if you can't address that big Zoea hook. This is a nice way of scoring well and drawing as many tiles as you can to try to get your hands on one. Maybe you get lucky and Joel doesn't have one. It's pretty unlikely, but it's possible. There are a lot of E's on the board. From Eta's perspective, only 5 in the bag. You could expect to see a lot more at this juncture of the game. So maybe you get lucky. He is going to let Imaginal get past him. I was even wondering, is it even worth playing Imaginal here? But unfortunately, the spot you'd be making seems similarly dangerous to the one you'd be taking away.
Yeah, I was running a sim on that because I thought for sure we'd get to talk about where to place this bingo. That's a fascinating decision and one that's I don't think I could answer without spending a lot more time looking at it. But we're going to see the bingo missed here. Lingam, a good consolation prize though. Etta leads 234 to 206 after that play. But Joel setting up the big E hook can now crush the spot at the bottom of this board. He's got decisions to make though. Maximizing his points is infuse and Zoeas, but FOEN for 48 in the same spot lets him keep his S. I don't know which one he's going to play here. The points are always nice in a close game. The S is always nice to keep. Phone or infuse are both good options. He's going to have to choose one. Will, which way are you leaning here?
So the thing about Lingam that changes the board dynamics quite a bit and makes me lean maybe a little bit closer to Infuse than I would before is that the S just got a little bit less powerful. A really nice spot, right? We were talking before about how good the S was. As Joel does play phone, this is a perfectly reasonable choice. The S is still solid on this board. If you draw well, you can still get stuff ending in S right here. But a few turns ago, there were 2 really good S hooks on the board with Havartis and Vows. And now one's been taken and one's been obstructed. And that decreases the value of your S a little bit. There isn't a free, totally unobstructed S hook. So Infuse was tempting, but you also got to consider what you're creating if you play Infuse here. Really, really easy spot if Eta has the Q. There's certainly other factors that make Foen very attractive here.
Yeah, it was an interesting decision, but this is kind of the old school brand of Scrabble we've come to expect from Joel. Younger players, I think, are a little more likely to just do what the computer says and play Infuse there. But we've seen the older players, they don't want to get beat by that worst case scenario. They don't want to give you the Q spot at all. And I think the play makes perfect sense. Etta has found princes here. This is a nice way to work out of a yucky rack. 28 points keeping CL together. Think this is fine. It runs right up there with some of his other options like clip on top of these plays here. But Prince's, I think, was totally fine as well.
Yeah, I like Prince's for sure. It's scores a few more points, uses a couple more tiles, leaves him with just CL instead of those 3 consonant leaves, which, yes, maybe keeping those 3 good bingo consonants together is a great start towards a bingo on your next turn, but it's also a recipe to potentially really get hosed on your next draw. And we're going to see Joel plop down what looks to be by far, maybe not by far, but certainly, in my opinion, his top play here, Matt. I like this for him.
Yeah, I think some people would be inclined to play Jure in that situation, keep the S, but as Will just pointed out, the S has lost most of its value on this board and in this game, and you don't want to keep those double I's with a ton more to come. Juries was a great choice, and then this play coming down quickly from a team BOCK 36, but holds GLRV. He's got to find some vowels to find some relief from that.
Yeah, let's see what he picks. It's going to be the Y, the only saving grace on that draw. Just that was a very fast play by Etta. I would add that there was also an interesting option for him on that turn of vlog right here for a significantly lower score, admittedly. But instead of leaving GLRV, it would have kept CKR, which is a much more synergistic 3-tile combination. That being said, there was certainly hold on, I got to make sure I give Eta his points for this move. But there's definitely another consideration for Bach, which is Eta probably loves the fact that it takes this easy sevens line away from Joel. We've seen Eta, a very defensive minded player, and plays defense very well. That had to be on his mind of, not only do I get the extra points for this play of Bach, I block this easy lane, which was probably the only realistic sevens lane on the board at that time. So no real complaint for me on that play, Matt. Would you have considered vlog there, though?
I would have blocked. I would have done what Eta did, I think. The leave is unwieldy, but I don't want to lose the game this turn. If Joel bingos in the only bingo line left, there's really no way for me to catch back up in this one. So I think I would have done what he did in this situation, take out the sevens line. But that's a tough turn. It's a tough play to pull the trigger on, because when it does go south, you're ending up with a rack like Eta's got here. I still think he made the right decision. Joel has found a really cool play here in width for 38 points. WHUP in this same spot feels a little more standard to me, INT the leave, but Joel sees that there are 4 more eyes in the bag. He does not want to get saddled with them, so he is going to leave a little bit of equity on the table to avoid these nightmare pulls. One other really awesome option there for Joel, though, was Punji through the J and juries. A lot of high-scoring plays out of what looked like an inflexible rack. This is the one Joel's pulled the trigger on, though.
Yeah, what if Joel draws QI, though? He's going to be so happy that he left these letters with this nice Q spot right here. Maybe he's going to be able to play Quip or something like that, which he'll be thrilled that he kept UP together. This is kind of a Q hook that's not really going anywhere, as we can see Eta playing Grody through that O. That looks like one of the better ways he could possibly have dumped some of those, so many of the consonants that he had right there. But no Q for Joel, and Joel in a much better situation to weather a Q draw. If Eta were to draw it now, it could be devastating.
Yeah, I think Joel might actually think about keeping the U here, realizing the Q is going to be instrumental in this game. A lot of the time in Scrabble, we see that whoever draws the Q is going to be in trouble. I think in this game, we might actually see the opposite. The Q with the UEY spot on the board is going to be great for whoever draws it, threaten 40 points on a board that's running out of opportunity. But you're going to need the U to punish that spot. So Joel, I think, is looking to hold on to the U here if he can.
Yeah, it makes sense with that ready-made spot for the cube. Again, just pointing it out, it's just going to sit here. It's going to be very tough for that spot to get obstructed quickly. I'm not really sure how it would even happen. A play into the W would do it, but what even is going to make sense to play there? So, I'm very interested to see, just because if Joel draws the Q, he's going to be fine as long as he holds on to that good stuff. A couple of you guys in the chat pointing out that an F play right here is a fantastic way of scoring very well. It also makes it maybe a little bit tougher to play into this H. That might have been a slight drawback of in width, is just opening a really nice tile for Eta to play into. And of course, we saw with all those consonants, he had no way to access it. If Eta had a good way to play into this H, he would probably have done that and potentially be opening some space that Joel would have to be worrying about here. So either way, really interesting plays from both sides. And now I think Joel, what is he going to play here? Is he going to consider playing that U, or is he going to stay the course and hold on to it as protection against that Q draw?
Yeah, there's a really standard play here, POUF, right in this spot. Looks to make sense to most players.
Yeah.
It scores well, 28 points, gets rid of some of the uglier tiles on your rack, the FOU combination, but crucially, it plays off the U. EIS is a nice leave on a wide open board with bingo lines, but there's really just the one on this board unless you have a Q bingo. So EIS is not something you're looking to get saddled with. I really like the 3-letter F plays here. I think FIE, but potentially FOE. FIE holds the combination OPSU, or OPSU, which
Yep.
would give Quops, QUOPS, if he draws the Q. That's an instant bailout. And I like Phi over Foe because there's 3 T's and just 2 O's, or 3 I's and just 2 O's to be drawn. So I think I'd play an I here knowing I've got Quops as a bailout.
Yeah, totally agree. Not only is there one extra I compared to the 2 O's, the I already duplicates much worse than the O on a typical rack. Not that having duplicated O's is anything to write home about, but Scrabble players of all experience levels and all stripes know that the I is one of those letters that duplicates horribly when you have 2 and, forbid 3 I's on the rack. You really start to feel it in your options decreasing very fast. So I really do feel like Joel's going to come around to playing Phi here just because, I don't know, with Matt, do you think that was an active choice by Joel to play in with, or did he potentially overlook other plays like Whoop or Punji? Is it something we think he chose specifically to prepare himself for that cue? If so, I think we can expect to see him. And there we go. Maybe that's our answer.
Yeah, he's got the plan for the worst/best case scenario, usually drawing the cue the worst case scenario, but Joel's planning around it. And IPSU is not so inflexible that if you miss the cue, you're going to be in trouble. I still think putting the I here feels a little bit better. If you just think about doubling up on O's, OOPSU feels much better than IIPSU, at least to me. So I think maybe Phi over Foe, but still a great decision here, actually keeping the U a good choice for Joel. Let's see if he finds the Q. The T is going to synergize nicely. There's that second I we feared, and a third I. Ooh, now Phi looking way stronger in hindsight. Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a great example of like Foe versus Phi, right? If you're watching this broadcast and saying, who cares? These are like, whatever, they score the same. What does it matter? They're so incredibly similar. You can see the tiniest little differences and nuances between plays. Not always does this happen, right? Sometimes Joel will draw to his IU leave. He'll draw something like QE something and be bingoing and it's no problem. But there are times like this where he'll have a draw just like what he has, and now he's in quite a bind heading into next turn with this rack. So not that Eta is in a great situation either, Matt. It seems like this is going to be a struggle for both players.
Yeah, these are my favorite games of Scrabble to watch, where you get to the end and both players have terrible racks. Both players have to think, oh man, this one's going to spiral away from me. But because both players have a bad rack, we know that it's going to be really fun to watch players struggle through and somebody come away with an unexpected victory. I like the plot twists and suspense, but I think Eta's got an uphill task here. This rack just so unwieldy and no good options for him here. Like VOLA into the A is just 14, but keeps a nice combination of letters. I'm not really looking to keep bingo prone combinations here, though maybe with this deficit, I need to try to threaten a bingo from this A as soon as possible. This is a very tough turn for a team.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, it is absolutely brutal. And one thing that's because this tile is not on either one of their racks, it is important to not lose sight of this second blank right here. It's lurking for somebody. And even though, as you suggest, Matt, this board is not very good for playing bingos, it's just this A. The K of Bach would be very, very difficult to play bingos through much of the time. But the A of Area is definitely, if you pluck that second blank out of the bag, you could see a bingo go down through that A. Maybe Eta is starting to realize that, if I can just burn through a few tiles, score decently well here, a couple of you guys pointing out, maybe just something like leaved right here or veiled in this spot, at least that has the benefit of scoring about as well as you can get on this turn using one of your 2 L's and the V, which is really correcting really the biggest issues. I hate to part with my E on that turn, Matt, but maybe it's the cost of doing business.
I don't know. I really don't like either of these plays through the EA. They're going to give Joel big scores here a lot of the time that let him play whatever bad tiles I expect him to have. And there's a lot of bad tiles, the G, ton of I's, the T's, and the U's. I just feel like if I play that, get rid of my goodies, let him dump his baddies, I'm probably going to lose this game. So I'm not looking to let Joel hit me with the big counter play. This board is tight if you don't have the right tiles for it. I've got to trust that Joel has something bad here, and I've got to avoid giving him an opportunity to score. The problem is it's really hard to do that in any way that makes sense. There's just so few points on the board here. He's got options like Lloyd or Loin through this I. Those are not bad options in my eyes either. The V feels bad. ELNV is not generally the best leave, but ENLV drawing into an I actually feels okay.
Yeah, looks a little better with that open A. You can definitely hit a bunch of things through that A of area A. I'm coming around a little bit to Lloyd being a pretty good option for him here. This is going to be a tough play for me. Practically speaking, I'm looking at that and saying to myself, oh my God, how could this be my play in this situation? But it is more of an indictment of the just constricted board and constricted options that Eta has, but he is going to go ahead and play Leaved. To your point, Matt, this does get you hit hard by parallel plays sometimes. I guess hard is only relatively speaking. I guess what I would worry about is just a play right into this D that cuts off the A that I'm really hoping to stay open as well. So there are bad things that can happen, but as we see, Joel's going to have a devil of a time dealing with this situation with those three eyes.
One option for Joel that does exactly what you said, Putid, Putid. It basically feels like a game over. I do have to worry if I'm Joel about a QUEY play. And oh my God, he's drawn not just QUEY, but Cade and Cotty in that spot. Wow. Wow. I do have to worry about that. There's an unseen blank, but Putid, I think, is just a very easy response to Leaved.
Yeah, that's amazing that even without the aid of a U draw from the bag, I think Eta left LON, didn't he? Oh, look at this. Nice idea, though, by Joel setting up his case S at the base of the board with teepees. What a nice idea by him to try and make sure that potentially if he does draw that Q, he keeps the U for this spot, but maybe he draws even better stuff like Quist or something, or Quest. I mean, I guess Quist more likely because of the UI already on his rack. But we see that Eta has the Q, and this is going to lead to a very interesting finish to this game.
All right, Joel's reached in and found the blank too.
Ooh.
That has to make him feel way better. A nice rack as well there. 4 tiles in the bag means if Eta plays Kadi or Cade on top, he's likely to lose this game. He'll basically tie it up and go into a 7-on-7 in game where Joel's got, the first move and probably the blank on his rack. I don't think Eta's got any other play here, though. I think TP is Joel's way of saying, if you bingo through the A now, you win. Otherwise, you lose. I'm going to outrun because I set up my S. That was a really cool decision from Joel.
Yeah, I love it from his perspective there. That was very, very impressive. I just wonder if you're Eta, is it possible that you do something in this spot like Lod or Nod, something here that empties the doesn't empty the bag, I should say, because with that Q, you actually do stand a chance of getting a draw that might actually save you. Man, it's kind of crazy that you would not use the Q here, but geez, that is a tough play to get to with the guaranteed 44 points on offer. But as you said, Matt, emptying the bag seems like a recipe to just lose here unless you somehow draw an incredible combination of the blank and good scoring plays. Maybe you can draw a big play through this J like Bungee. Ah, man, it's going to be tough to come up with the best sequence here.
I'm having a hard time finding anything better than Cade and lose. I mean, you need to throw out a Hail Mary here, but if you play off 4 tiles, Joel knows exactly what you have. You would have to threaten a play in multiple spots, and you're probably not going to be able to draw that well out of the bag. I think Caden lose by 20, especially in a tight field where spread matters, is better than trying to swing for the fences at any kind of Hail Mary here. Etta has time to come up with another option, but I think you just lose this game.
Great comment from Word Cup director. Apparently, we're getting from Peter Armstrong. And yeah, let's relax with the spamming there in the chat. But a really cool idea. What if you just fish the D? Again, this is not my idea. I'm just plagiarizing it from the chat. What you do with the just fishing off the D from Etta's rack, if you draw any of the U's or blanks from the bag, and there actually is one U still lurking, you can draw Aquilon and Quay as a massive bingo that would deliver him the win in this game if Joel leaves it open. So that would be fantastic to spot here. Maybe that is the most practical way to get some winning chances here if you're Etta.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And Joel's basically going to be forced to make a decision. Did you fish on top or did you fish for the A in area? That is fascinating. That's incredible. That's the move here.
That would be incredible to see be played. And as we know, the tiles in the bag, this is from Etta's perspective. So we know which tiles are on Joel's rack right here. Looks like it's going to be GTTU in the bag. So if you fish that D, you've got a 25% chance of making things very, very interesting in this game.
And that's a 25% chance in a vacuum. I don't think a play of TP comes down if Joel had both of the U's. You can assume at least one of them was in the bag most of the time, or else that's going to be PU or something else like that. TP also doesn't come down as quickly as it did with the blank very often. So I think U blank was very likely not on Joel's rack last turn, probably slightly more than 25% with the inference. That's a sneaky play. That's hard to spot, hard to think of, but Etta's had several minutes. Etta's a fantastic Scrabble player. Will he see it or will he concede in this one?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how does he feel necessarily like playing Cade in this spot for 44 is conceding? I kind of feel like it is against a player of Joel's caliber. He's going to be able to come up with an endgame sequence that is very likely to win this. So yeah, I mean, Etta looks you see him shaking his head. I think he's shaking his head as if to say, yeah, you know, this is my best scoring play. I get 44 points here, but how do I win the game after this? We'll see if he can dig deep and realize that actually with that fish, he can put Joel in a bind here. So yeah, it's tough. But I would love to see him come up with this fishing off of the D. I love the point you made, though, Matt, about TP from Joel being a good indicator. And, oh, look at this. What is he getting set to do? Oh, I see what he's considering. Yep. He's considering responding to this play here, realizing Joel almost certainly always has the S after that play. Nope. Instead, he's going with the more traditional spot here. And this is going to create a tight end game, but Joel definitely has the stuff to withstand this tough GTTU draw for Etta.
Etta's going to reach in and find Glutton in the bag, but no spot for that on the tight board.
Wow. Joel didn't even notice. Nice.
Yeah. Fun draw. Fun game.
The unplayable Glutton. But yeah, Matt, I think Joel's got more than enough goodies to finish this out.
So Etta's clock is still running. I don't think he's but he's drawn tiles. So this is a mistake. Etta just hasn't hit his clock. I think we need to we need the director to intervene here, correct?
Yeah, let's see if we can get some kind of intervention just to prevent Etta from going overtime unnecessarily. Not sure if we can.
Are we supposed to? Yeah.
He's being told. He's being told. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. I think he's all right. And he's upset, but yeah, I think it should be okay. He only lost a couple minutes, but let me make sure the scores are correct, which they are not right now. Eta just got a whole bunch more
Hey, Will,
points.
let me interrupt. This is a gameplay thing. That was we're hearing from the chat that was a clock malfunction. Etta hit it, and this clock has been malfunctioning across the tournament. It might have bounced back. Etta should probably be rewarded a little bit of extra time based on if that information is correct. Not that it's probably going to matter, but I think that's a ruling that needs to be made pretty quickly.
Yeah, there was precedent for it last time. Maybe I think it would be fair to give Etta a minute of overtime based on what just occurred there. I think it's all academic. Joel looks like he's getting ready to play his best endgame play of bungee in the upper left corner through this J right here for a very, very solid score, getting more than enough points up on the scoreboard and guaranteeing himself a way to go out with OS in a variety of places on his next move. So purely academic. Etta's not going to need that time. This is Joel's game to win, and a very, very nice one for him to win against the tournament's #1 player so far.
Yeah, man, what a well-played game from Joel across the end. I think he showed some heads-up awareness. The play of Arie over the fish of VAE helped him avoid falling into the trap that some players fall into of overfishing, took away Etta's bingo. The play of Zoe, Zoaea, that was really fun to watch him kind of struggle through that decision, but again, come to the rest conclusions. Despite the fact that he's in his upper 70s, Joel is still playing some fantastic Scrabble. Hard-earned win here.
Yeah, pretty amazing. He also we've been talking a lot, Matt, about the stamina element of these events, and Joel is one of the few, I guess not few, but a lot of players are careful about which of these big events to play because there is a huge stamina component. You want to play your best, and it's really difficult to play your best in multiple of these long, grueling events, one after the other. And Joel, at his advanced age, just had a very respectable result at the Scrabble Players Championship last week in South Bend, Indiana. So it's crazy to think that he's here, potentially poised to vault into the lead in the near future. Maybe not this very next game, because as you can see, he's going to go up to 15-7. Eta will drop to 15-7, and these tiebreakers are still going to be in Eta's favor, but he's knocking on the door of being in first place at this event 1 week after he just played 31 games. That's actually almost unfathomable to me.
God, the fatigue factor is so real for players of all ages. So for Joel to be performing at this level after just having played in another major is utterly incredible. And he played a very precise game despite all the fatigue and all the circumstances going on. That's awesome stuff.
Yeah, super impressive. All that's left for him to do here, find a good place to play his O and S. There are all sorts of places all over the board where these two tiles play. There's one place that's pretty cool. It's kind of a fun spot. Not the simplest spot to play OS on the board. I feel like a normal place for a player at the tournament level would just be to plop it down right here. That looks pretty good. Best place is actually right here to hook onto princes to make princess. That gets you 16 points if you're Joel. So that would be very stylish on his part to spot the very best play. All right, it gets past him here, Matt. No shame in that as he finishes out the game.
Princess would have been an extra firework, but a great game from Joel. Let's see if we get anything on overhead mic here.
449-406.
Taking care of their bookkeeping first. All right. Well, not every game features players willing to talk things through. Famously, Matt, one of our most decorated, I guess I shouldn't couch it in those terms, our most decorated and well-known player, Nigel Richards, never talks about his games after they're complete. So you don't get a great post-mortem each and every time, as the players are just squaring, and we'll be off to next round shortly.
That was still a fun one, though. We'll be back in just a minute with another cool game of Scrabble.
Yeah, the next game coming up is going to be Josh Sokol against, again, that third top performing Nigerian player, Nisikak Etim. Is that matchup between Josh and Etim coming up in round 23. So we're going to take a quick break, reset the board and nameplates, everything else, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes with that game from the 2024 World Cup.